Hello, Bible readers. Glad you could join me today here on Set Sail with Grace Harbor. Our reading today, it covers Ezekiel chapters 21 and 22. Well, buckle up, because Ezekiel doesn't pull any punches and he doesn't hold back as he delivers God's message to the coming judgment against Judah and its surrounding nations. Let's get started. Chapter 21 kicks off with an unsettling vision, the sword of the Lord. Now, Ezekiel is told to prophesy against Jerusalem and the surrounding land, making it clear that God's judgment is imminent. It isn't just any sword. It's a sharpened sword, polished and ready for slaughter. Ezekiel dramatically acts out this prophecy, sighing and groaning, which puzzles the people as they watch him. Can you imagine the people as they were watching this play out, what they must have thought? Better yet, imagine how you might react to such display. And you might relate to the reaction of at least some of these people in the audience. Well, God then explains that this is because of the terrible news that's coming. Widespread destruction without distinction between the righteous and the wicked. This emphasizes the totality of the coming judgment due to the perverse sin. His imagery of the sword is relentless. It flashes like lightning. It's meant to terrify, and it won't be sheathed until God's wrath is satisfied. Even the king of Babylon is depicted as standing at a crossroads, deciding whether to attack Jerusalem or Rabbah of the Ammonites. However, God's will directs his sword against Jerusalem, and we see God's complete and total control over historical events, even the decisions of earthly rulers. Ezekiel also delivers a prophecy against Ammon, who rejoices at Judah's downfall. God declares that Ammon's sword will also be sheathed in its scabbard, signifying their eventuality of destruction as well. God's justice extends beyond Judah to all the nations. As we get to chapter 22, it focuses squarely on Jerusalem, and it's a damning indictment. Ezekiel calls Jerusalem the city of bloodshed. There's rampant violence within its walls. He lists a whole litany of their transgressions: the dishonoring of parents, the oppression of foreigners, the mistreatment of the fatherless and the widows, the desecration of holy things, and the widespread sexual immorality. It's a picture of a society that has completely turned away from God's commands. There's no regard for justice, compassion, or holiness. The leaders, instead of upholding righteousness, well, they're complicit with all of this corruption. Ezekiel specifically mentions princes who shed blood for selfish gain and prophets who whitewash their deeds for profit. Wait, I'm getting a little confused. Am I really recapping chapter 22 or summarizing last night's news stories on TV? Because of these egregious sins, God declares that he will gather the people into Jerusalem like metal into a furnace. His wrath will be poured out upon them, and they'll melt in the fiery judgment. This imagery of a refining furnace suggests a process of purification through intense suffering. But in this context, it primarily signifies the destructive nature of God's just anger. The chapter concludes with an assessment of the leadership within Jerusalem. Ezekiel describes the prophets as whitewashed walls, the priests as violating the law and profaning the holy things, the officials as devouring prey. There's no one standing up for what's right, no one interceding on behalf of the city. Again, I have to say, it seems a little too familiar to our times today. God laments that he searched for someone, anyone, who would build up the wall and stand for him in the gap on behalf of the land so that he wouldn't have to destroy it. But he found no one. This tragic realization underscores the complete moral and spiritual breakdown of Jerusalem, leaving them utterly vulnerable to God's judgment. These chapters may be describing a specific historical context, but they hold some pertinent lessons for us today. Ezekiel's prophecies remind us the seriousness of sin and the certainty of God's judgment. Just as God held Judah accountable for their actions, he holds all people and all nations accountable for theirs, including us. Furthermore, the lament about the lack of anyone standing in the gap challenges us to consider our roles. Are we complicit in injustice? Are we speaking out against what's wrong? Are we interceding for our communities and our nations? Let me be just a little bit blunt for a moment. Are you one of those believers that stay at home on election day because politics are just dirty? Do you refrain from speaking out the truth for fear that you might offend someone? Of course, we're to speak the truth in love and not in malice. But if speaking the truth, even if it offends someone, can steer them away from hell, I guess I can live with that. Ezekiel's fiery words are a warning and a call to repentance and righteousness. Let's take these messages to heart and strive to live in a way that honors God and reflects his justice and love. Well, if you're still watching at this point in the video, thank you. Thanks for hanging in there with me today. We're close to halfway through Ezekiel, and by now you'll know it's an intense book. So what are your thoughts on these prophecies? Did any of today's reading make you think of our times that we're living in today? Let me know in the comments below. I promise I won't be offended. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our next videos. So until next time, have a blessed day.